Hello everybody and welcome to Real Madrid Hub. I am your host Eric Rivera and this is your spot on YouTube for all things Real Madrid news. So I wanted to make a quick sort of opinion video because of the fact that my good friend Jota Real Madrid, who runs this channel with me, as you guys know, he did a small piece talking about Vinicius, as you know, and with the news about Hazard. So I kind of want to talk about a couple different things, a couple different pieces of news, I guess, related to his commentary about it. But I think his video was good in the sense that it was kind of, he was telling me he was receiving, and he was saying in the video that he was receiving comments, and he was seeing people talk about how Vinicius's time to shine, it was right now because of the fact that Hazard is injured. Well, Hazard has been injured obviously multiple times already, and Vinicius has been given quite a few chances to shine on this team, and essentially he hasn't done so. We saw some, I think what happens is with a lot of us Madridistas, and you know, these are our opinions, you know, but he had those moments where he showed us a lot of things that he had, that he does have, which is talent. I mean, he does have talent. He does have the daringness to go and you know, dribble into the box and things like that. And which is something that has been somewhat lacking from Real Madrid in the attack. But aside from that, you know, being quick and being daring and running into the box, his decision making in the final third has always been something that has been suspect. His obviously his finishing is not up to par. And you know, what Jota was talking about was Vinicius's time, that he believes Vinicius's time at Real Madrid is essentially kind of over in a lot of ways. Or not kind of, maybe it is over. I mean, he's even been, you know, we've been talking about on our channel the different, you know, rumors that are going around that he might be, you know, if Real Madrid does decide to bring Mbappé, that's still going around even now more because Jesse, who just got signed from to Las Palmas and was at PSG and was once at Madrid as well, had spoken to Mbappé and said that, you know, Mbappé was a big fan of Real Madrid, that Cristiano Ronaldo was his idol, and essentially he wants to come to the club, and he sees that at some point or another he's going to get here. So, and then that's combined with the news of, you know, that I had posted a couple videos ago as well, where, you know, they were, you know, Diario AS and all the Spanish media was talking about Mbappé, you know, how Real Madrid does not want to give up on the pursuit of Mbappé by any means necessary, and they are willing to negotiate with the French club in order to get Mbappé and possibly swap players, you know, pay cash or pay money in addition to some players. And those players that have actually been on the list to be given to PSG have been Vinicius, Varane. I mean, those are the different rumors. And when you ask people, and I think Chiringuito even asked the question, where do you prefer Vinicius or do you prefer Mbappé? A lot of people were like, you know, if I could sell Vinicius for Mbappé, I totally would. I mean, and I think it's a no-brainer at this point. I don't think, you know, it's Hazard being out is just another long, you know, it's just another blow to Real Madrid in a season that has been just chock full of terrible, sad, disappointing stories. Whether it's, you know, like I said, like Hazard being injured multiple times, the Odegaard leaving, not feeling like he's not getting enough playing time, Jovic feeling like he's not getting enough playing time, essentially the Sergio Ramos ordeal. I mean, we're talking so much drama going on at the club. And Vinicius is just one of those things where I think at this point, and I think many would be in agreement, I think he's not one of the guys that I would see as part of, he was essentially part of that idea of freshening up the club and bringing in and having some sort of revolution, but it hasn't come to fruition, you know? And I don't think it's going to come to fruition from Vinicius. I mean, I'll tell you my honest opinion. And I said it on a piece when Hazard got injured yesterday, and when they did the parte médico. You know, I really feel, I do feel terrible about how Hazard, you know, this was his dream to come to Real Madrid. Yes, I've been getting messages from other people saying, you know, well, you know, he's been unprofessional. He showed up to his dream club overweight. You know, there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of different factors. You know, we don't know what was going on in his personal life and things like that, but that was unprofessional. But, you know, if he's working out and if he is doing things to get back into shape, I don't think him being out of shape at the beginning of the season would be at the beginning of his Madrid career would essentially play into the consistent problems that he's had with injuries since getting to Real Madrid. You know, he's been doing all the, you know, I'm pretty sure he's been doing all the training. He's been doing everything he needs to do to get back into shape and get back into form. And, you know, the injury is just nagging. And it's not like a Hazard is an isolated incident where his injuries, where, you know, an isolated injury where a player that has tons of talent is considered one of world-class players essentially has their career ruined by just nagging injuries. I mean, I think Bale is one of those, you know, Bale, besides his attitude, I think, towards football as of late, I think, you know, his situation with injuries was always an issue. You know, he was always getting injured. You look at, if we were to look at rivals, we were to look at, you know, Ousmane Dembélé, how, you know, he has been considered a flop by Barcelona because of his injury situation. But, you know, he was an absolute, you know, wonder kid when he was at Borussia Dortmund. And now he's starting to show some of that form again. Injuries can ruin people, and hopefully this doesn't ruin Hazard. It seems like he's definitely taking it it's a very difficult situation for him. And I do feel, part of me is torn. You know, I was saying yesterday, I do think Madrid should cut their losses and sell him, but the market isn't technically, is the market going to be there to sell him, especially for the price they paid for him? Or does Real Madrid wait it out and essentially let him get back into shape as much as they can and really let him get to full fitness before trying him out again? Because essentially we were already seeing that the Belgian national team is pissed because they feel like Real Madrid continues running or continues to push Hazard to perform when he may not be ready to do so yet. So there's a lot of things going on. And then to add that to what Jota said about Vinicius, I honestly feel like Vinicius is on his way out. I don't dislike the guy. For everything that all the notes and articles and things we've read, you know, it seems like the team loves him, but Zidane doesn't think he's a top quality player, or doesn't see him being a top player. Even some people on the squad, on his same squad, don't see him being a top player. Essentially, you know, saying that the media has played him up as being this, you know, next Neymar, next Ballon d'Or, all this kind of thing. And it was essentially that media hyping him up. And he has been a failure in that sense. I think it's time for what we call, you know, in Spanish, they say borrón y cuenta nueva, which is, you know, clean slate. Let's get started. You know, if I were to give my opinion, I would say Vinicius should go. Varane, if we can get a good price for him, should go. If they can play into if, you know, by some miracle or the truth is there is truth to the Mbappe swap for Vinicius and Varane, I'd say go for it. You know, I think the only players that I feel in my heart as a Madridista that I would retain are Kroos, Modric, and Casemiro, Sergio Ramos. If we can save that relationship, I would love it. If we can bring Alaba and have him, you know, alongside Sergio Ramos to be also a backup for Ferland Mendy, If we don't end up getting rid of Militao, I think Militao, I do feel like there's still some prospect there, or he's still a prospect. We still have Nacho, who I do believe is an industrious player and essentially is not I don't think he's a drain on our finances. We have Carvajal. I mean, so some of these guys I would keep them, but I would get rid of Lucas Vázquez. I would even go far as saying I would get rid of Asensio. Benzema definitely needs a backup, so we need to do everything we can to have a backup striker for Benzema. So hopefully, if that's Jovic, that comes back from loan, and hopefully he is, in the best form when he comes back. The other thing that I was seeing is that Milan is looking at trying to buy or keep Brahim Diaz. I would say, Real Madrid should not let Brahim Diaz go. He has shown his talent at Milan. The article was was good in the sense that it was saying that he has played. Pioli has put him on the right wing, on the left wing, has played him even as a media punta, as like an attacking midfielder. So really, he's solving a lot of different problems there. And I think, you have to bring back Brahim. You have to bring back Odegaard. If Reguilón, we can bring him back. Rodrigo, for me, is, I think a solid player out of the two Brazilians that we got, in the sense of, the Brazilians that they always talk about, which are the young Brazilians, which are Vinicius and Rodrigo. Rodrigo is by far the better deal. And I think he's talented. He's hungry. It seems like he has a good relationship with the team as well, and especially with Modric. So I think, these would be our future guys. These would be the guys that we need to start integrating into the team. But we need we need a coach that is willing to put these guys into rotation. And unless Florentino sits Zidane down and says, either shape up or ship out, which at this point, all the reports are saying, Zidane is going to be gone by the end of the season, then we need somebody who's going to want to play that youthful system, So I feel like there is a lot of good on the horizon, but we just have to take what we can get and continue to suffer this season. And that's what's going to essentially happen for us right now, So I think Vinicius, talking about that, I think Hazard, let's wait and see what's going to happen, how it develops, because that's a lot of money that was on the table for him, and we're not going to get that back in this current situation. But I think if we can get, if Vinicius can eventually go, that's a good thing. I mean, we're going to have to use him for these games, but I just don't see him getting any better than where he was. Maybe the comments from Benzema and Mendy broke him, but maybe he's got to find his confidence somewhere else, because it's not at Madrid. And I think that is what people have to come to grips with. I don't think it's going to be at Madrid. I don't even think Asensio is the solution. He shows flashes of some of the things, but he has not lived up to the hype. We need wingers. We need new wingers. I mean, I would say, get Brahim, Hazard, Hazard back into shape, Brahim. If we can get Hakimi back, if we can get, like I said, if we can get Reguilón back, if we can get Jovic back and Odegaard back, we're going to have all these different options. Get Alaba. Hopefully Sergio Ramos doesn't leave. And if he does leave, then we're going to have to look for another center back as well. So there's a lot of things that, although are disheartening with the team right now, and we're seeing them struggle, I think hopefully, all these players that we've kind of lent out come back, and we get a coach and a board that are on the same wavelength in order to play and really trust in this youth project. Because it seems like Zidane doesn't, and it hurts me because I do like Zidane. I mean, he's done so much, so I'm not going to sit here and badmouth him and say Zidane out every time there's a bad result, because the situation right now in the club, or the situation right now in Real Madrid, isn't just Zidane, isn't just, bad decision making, let's say, from the board. It's players not living up to the hype, players not performing. We've seen the attitude from some of these players. They're just not at the level that they should be. It's kind of a failure all around, in a sense. Just bad things happening at the club. And until you fix all of that from the core, and the core could be, getting rid of some players that are just no longer salvageable. get a coach that is interested in the youth project and in this whole restructuring. And just that is what's going to take us into the future. That is what we need to do. Because I think the players that Real Madrid has on its roster, all these that are out there, I do think that they are solid. The ones that we've let go are essentially more solid than the ones we kept, and there I would blame either, whether it was the board that made those decisions along with recommendations from Zidane. That was a failure. And we are paying for that failure right now. And right now we're also seeing a failure in the sense, we're also seeing issues with injuries. We're seeing issues with COVID, all these things because of the state of football at this moment isn't good for anybody. We can't look at it and just say it's Madrid. Barcelona has been suffering, although they've been playing better as of late. But they've been suffering. The teams like, let's say Liverpool has been suffering, which way, they were the top team in the Premier League. They've been suffering with a lot of injuries. We have Van Dijk being out and Matip being out. You have, Bayern suffering injuries and just a drop in form, getting eliminated also from a third division team in their domestic cup. So it hasn't been consistent all the way around. You look at the fight right now in Serie A, where Juve used to always be consistently at the top, and right now they're sitting in about fourth, I believe. So there is a lot of things going on in football right now that are caused by the pandemic. We are not in the norm right now. We are not in the normal time. So all these things are coming to fruition, and all of these things are affecting football as a whole, and they're affecting Real Madrid as a whole. And I, for one, the reports that I just saw on Twitter, obviously, that Florentino is running again. I have no problem with Florentino. I think Florentino, whether people like it or not, business is business. And when you run a business, you run it to win, in the sense, not win footballistically sometimes. In this case, yeah, it's a football team. But if you're in a financial situation, your goal is in a financial crisis, your goal is to get out of that crisis. Your goal is to save money. Your goal is to, austerity measures, all that kind of things that you need to do, whether it's cutting staff, whether it's lowering wages, which is what they're doing, looking at the contract situation. All of the stuff that they're doing is the type of stuff that you would see from any corporation in America, even going right now through the COVID situation. And I work for a corporation here in the United States, doing things that they can to save money, shifting, operations and limiting, using outside vendors and bringing things in-house. There's a lot of different things that need to be shifted around. And that is what Florentino is doing. He is running it like a business. And if there's anything that Florentino knows, if there's one thing that Florentino knows a lot about, it's running a business. So I would venture to say we will see the fruits of all this play out in the long term. The problem with us as Madridistas, the problem with Real Madrid as a club, is that we don't have patience, because we have to win. It's the same we always talk about. Real Madrid has to win all the time and always be winning all the cups. But there comes a time where that's not going to happen. There comes a time when you're not going to win all the cups. Well, and the idea is that doesn't go on for season after season after season. The idea is, the restructuring period lasts 1 or 2 seasons and get back onto it. So hopefully this is that last season of doing so, because we got to get back into the winning ways. But I think we do have a core in our midfield that is strong. Add Fede Valverde to that mix, add and then get all these youth players back. Get rid of all the extra, the players that are superfluous at this time, which I'm not going to, Isco, Marcelo, and the ones I've mentioned, and let's start anew. And that is what I feel is the future of Real. And that's kind of my response to my good friend Jota, and then also my take on some of the news stories we've been hearing today in coming out of Marca and AS and everywhere. So thank you guys for listening to the Real Madrid Hub. Thank you guys for watching the videos. Comment below, on, hit me up on Twitter, Adi Nada Mas Podcast. You'll see it here, drop at the bottom. And, and also follow Jota Real Madrid and Real Madrid Dr. Jota, which are his 2 channels in Spanish, as well as here at Real Madrid Hub. Thank you guys for listening.